Right, hello there everyone, welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to a video just me talking about Chelsea's FFP situation. I want to shout out to all the Chelsea fans who have came to the channel the past few days and have decided to subscribe and all that stuff, but I'm analysing you guys right now. I'm going to be keeping my close eye on you. Also, just because it heavily impacts Liverpool. And also, I'm trying to dive into more football content anyway, trying to vary it up a little bit. So I thought it was an interesting video. So in this one, I want to look at it from both sides because the only people who seem to be accusing Chelsea of FFP is people who don't know anything about finances and don't keep up to date with the rules and regulations of FFP, which if you do, you'll know that it changes very, very often. The Premier League are changing it next year. UEFA have changed it for this year. There's many things that are in place regarding FFP. So I think as somebody who's always looking to consume more knowledge and become more wise on a footballing standpoint, I think it's important to actually look at this in a bit more detail. So the first person who I actually want to start off by looking at, I know it's not going to be a popular one amongst maybe some of you guys. You might not like Simon Jordan, but he's certainly more educated on this topic than me and you. And he's broke it down a little bit. And I'm sure he's probably had people on the show who have broke this down for him. And now he's the one who's articulating it. So listen, I thought this was an interesting clip. It's one that I watched just to make sure that it made sense. And then it might give you a little bit more of an explanation on why Chelsea might not actually be doing as much wrong, just for those confused fans who are thinking, well, how come they can get Lavia and Caicedo and all these? But let's see what he says.
Here's what's happening with their transfer spend. And here's what's happening with their ability to be able to adhere. I think they'll struggle to do it in the longer game if they don't start getting some achievements on the pitch. But here's where they really are. They've spent £800 million on players. They spent £600 million last year. They capitalised that over 8 years. All those players were on 8-year contracts. So all of a sudden, that £600 million spend is reducing at £75 million a year. So you're charging £75 million because you're dividing 600 by 8. Right? You're reducing your £600 million spend by £75 million every year. He's now had that change because they didn't like it. The football fraternity went, you can't do that over 8 years. We want it back to 5. So this year's spend, right, will be 300 million, around about that. Right. And it'll be reducing at 60 million a year. So he's now losing 75 million each year from the spend last year, plus 60 this year. But he's gone and sold 250 million worth of players in 3 transfers.
That's important. Now, I'm going to keep playing the clip, but just take that into mind. He sold £250 million worth of players. So it's not like Chelsea are just buying
transfer windows, and all of those players have produced an outcome that have been profitable to Chelsea. He sold Kai Havertz for 60-odd million quid. He bought him for 60-odd million quid, but on his balance sheet at the time when he sold Kai Havertz, he was carrying him at 25 million. So he sold him for 60. He's booked a 35 million pound profit. He sold Mason Mount, who's an academy player, for 60 million quid. He's booked a 60 million pound profit.
So Simon Jordan is mentioning about the profits that Chelsea have made, because this is what's going to be balancing the books between how many players they can bring in, and it is and we are going to look at the list of ins and outs for Chelsea this window, and it is a lot of ins and outs. Just to give you more context, but again, this is a good verbal way of laying it down. Someone who can explain it better than me.
Over the 3 windows, he's booked somewhere in the region of 200 million worth of transfer gains on his balance sheet, and he's reducing it by 135 every year. So he's 65 million pound in credit right now on his balance sheet against transfers. That's how he's doing it. Now, eventually, if Chelsea don't pull up revenue and start to get back in the Champions League, or generate other revenue streams, this is going to catch up with him sooner rather than later. But right now, £800 million worth of spend, it equates to £135 million a year worth of transfer losses, right, depreciation. And then you've got 200 million worth of transfer gains on Havertz, on Mason Mount, on Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and on we go. Look who they've sold.
But it's a gamble in the longer term. Well, if they don't start doing it,
it's a gamble. It's a gamble in terms of the consequence around financial fair play. Now let's look at what the consequence is. The consequence in financial fair play is a financial consequence, right? Are we suggesting that people that have paid £2.5 billion for a business that
So even if Chelsea are going over the steps, it's one of those things where, likely in the past, where it's been a financial consequence, that's one that they might be willing to take. So they're analysing it, thinking, what are we most likely going to get? Even if we do step over the lines a little bit, it will be this. And again, Chelsea have been given a lot of leeway because of the Roman situation. But this situation itself, they've let go of a lot of players. So listen, is it 100% proof that they are not doing anything at all? No, but they haven't been caught for anything at all as well. And there's things that go in their favour in this situation, which is important. So I want to play the rest of the clip for you because I don't like interrupting clips too much, but it's just to have my input to give Liverpool fans, you know, just a bit more of an analysis on the situation, because a lot of Liverpool fans in particular are upset. Even Crystal Palace have came out and they've got a problem with Chelsea right now. So not only have they had John W. Henry on the back, they've also now got Crystal Palace. So this is just one way of looking at it. It's basically the other side of the coin from someone who's non-biased.
That are funding £800 million of transfers won't take a smack on the knuckles like other clubs are getting right now. 10 million here, 20 million pounds there. I'm not suggesting he's aiming for that, but right now people are saying, how the hell can you spend £800 million on transfer fees and not be breaching financial fair play? Well, I've just told you. if you're depreciating that at 135 million pounds a year, and you've just sold 260 million pounds worth of players over 3 transfer windows, and most of those players, with the exception of Timo Werner, which was sold at break even, are booking you a profit. You've just covered the last 18 months worth of potential losses and going into next year as well. Now, in 18 months' time, if Chelsea are still spending at this level, are still carrying that level of depreciation, haven't balanced the books by selling more players, and haven't got themselves into the Champions League, then they're going to get caught.
So it's not a problem for Chelsea fans to worry about right now. And I'm not usually one to share things that TalkSport say, but I just thought that was a good explanation and an important one to analyse both sides of it. Now, the next thing and the final thing that I just want to show you is if you don't mind staying with me, and hopefully if you have enjoyed this type of content, then do smash a like. And it'd be very encouraging to see if you do want to see more football diverse content. I'm aiming to implement them in my streams, so I'm aiming to make my streams a little bit longer, possibly have a Liverpool section, then I'll have an interactive section where I answer your comments and your questions, and then I'll go into some news regarding other teams, just because the JRTV community is growing, which is great to see. But the last thing that I would just love to share with you is basically the list of ins and outs regarding Chelsea. I'll just have to accept that. Yes, so these are the ins and outs that Chelsea have made this summer. You can see a long list, and there's even some deals that are yet to be done. I believe there's some kid called Washington who they've yet to sign, but that's going to be around £20 million, well, 16 million plus 5 million add-ons. And then you've got the Lavia deal, which I believe was confirmed to be 53 million plus 5 million pounds in add-ons. So they're splashing the cash, don't get me wrong. They are doing a Vince McMahon in strip clubs, but in this, or Dana White in casinos, but in this case, they're doing it within the means of what they can do. So what Simon Jordan mentions is that it can cause long-term problems, but for the right here, right now, just anyone who's claiming FFP just have not got a leg to stand on. And again, it's because they're not looking into the FFP situation. Now, if you want to question, should FFP be around? And is it really worth it? Is it just to adhere to big teams? You can have that conversation, but that's separate to Chelsea are abusing FFP, for instance, because they haven't been caught for it. And there's actually a lot of arguments that suggest that they're actually not doing that. They're just doing what they simply can do. So some of the names here: Moises Caicedo for 116 million, Nkunku for 60 million. As we know, he came from in January, or the deal was done in January. Dizazi, who friggin' got us in the game as well. He was quality defensively, and he got the goal. So that was 45 million. You see Jackson, you see this gentleman who I'm not even going to defend anybody by trying to announce his name. Roberto Sanchez, more recent after Kepa going the other way. And then these are just some of the ones like contract extensions, and I believe that's what it is. Maybe promotions from the second team. And then players who have came back from loan deals as well. Now, these are the players that have gone out the club. Now, this is important because, as you can see, even though there was a lot of ins, there's also a lot of outs. Mason Mount is one of them. Kai Havertz is another. And they went for insane extortionate prices. I don't know how accurate that's euros, to be fair. So this is euros, not pounds. I've been referencing pounds. 75 million euros for Kai Havertz. Absolute joke of a transfer fee. I still question why Arsenal ever went for Kai Havertz for that much. I just never rated him at Chelsea. It was one of those things. But maybe Mikel Arteta saw something that I never. Mason Mount went, another signing that a question. Mateo Kovacic, I think that was a great signing for Manchester City, to be honest. I still have nightmares about that goal that he scored against us. The one off the bar, off the volley, was insane, like all-time Premier League goal that was. And you see other ones here as well: Pulisic, Mendy, Loftus-Cheek. You've got to think about the wages that clears as well. So listen, is it completely balanced in the books? No, because Caicedo's a huge signing. Bear in mind, Lavia is not on this list, and neither is Washington. They will be added on that list soon, right? But these names as well, the money that they've made for these players is huge. And Simon Jordan talked about profit. I don't know what he mentions about Kai Havertz. Apparently, it was something was now 25 million, therefore they made this much profit. I'm not sure. But then Mason Mount, for instance, that was huge profit. That's an academy player that you've just got 60 million pounds for, which matters. And the long-term deals that they've been giving players is what's making this more possible too. So Chelsea, in my opinion, are just being smart. And I think we all just have to come to the conclusion, okay, it might not be right and it might not be fair that all these things are happening regarding the ins and the outs of the football club. I probably should have had that zoomed in as well. So I do apologise. Let me zoom that in a bit more because, yeah, you guys will probably be able to barely see that. But yeah, you can still see now the ins and outs of the lists. I just don't think it's fair to call them cheaters if they are not cheating. That's my only thing. And I'm not a fan of Chelsea. Listen, me and Chelsea fans on a match day, no, thank you very much. But in this instance, I don't think it's fair to call them cheaters. I wouldn't like it if teams called us cheaters for something that we haven't done, right? And I think you can even prove with the evidence of what we know now that Chelsea are not cheating, but it can become a problem in the future. So all remains to be seen. And yes, Chelsea are playing a risky game financially, but that's all it is. It's a risk. And sometimes I think you should admire risk. I think that FSG don't take enough risks financially, which is great, because then there's no chance of your club going under, but then it also limits success. And I think Chelsea, with the big thing that they had to overcome, that situation with Roman Abramovich, and then now they've got this new American owner who comes in and he says this, that, and the other. Okay, that's great, but now Todd Bowley's got a big job to do. He's got to replace a whole team. Players like Rudiger and all these wanted to leave. He has to keep some of his core players like Thiago Silva, Reece James, at the time, Mason Mount. And then he's got to let go of a lot of players. And this was the second season of this. And he's had a big, massive overhaul, but he's let go of a lot of players as well, which is also important. So there is context that matters. That's why I do these videos. I like to add context no matter what the team is. I'd do the same if it was our team or whatever have you. And yeah, let me know what you all think. If there's something that I've missed or any evidence I haven't taken into account, then of course I want to know this, because if they're cheating to take our players, or who were supposed to be our players, even though they both turned us down, yeah, that's just the way it is. We need to look at that. But right now, from what I know, I don't think Chelsea have done too much. But let me know what you thought of this video. Do smash a like if you enjoyed it. And if you do want to see more content like this in the future, then I'm more than happy to deliver it to you. I am going to be doing a video as well on a CDM later. So let's see how that one goes. I'm going to be live with Saeed soon. Nothing but content to come. And of course, the live stream will be back tonight. Probably delving into a little bit more news as well regarding Liverpool and other teams. So smash a like, guys. Much love to all of you. And I'll see you all in a bizzle. Peace out.